With SE Connect, you can learn a 15-minute comprehensive manual therapy treatment that will set you apart from other massage therapists. SE Connect is the only multidisciplinary platform with practice tools, business tools, and a community of practitioners speaking the same language. Check it out at network.structuralelements.com. As a massage therapist, you know that truly the world's most beautiful machine is in your hands. You help relieve the pain and pressures that hold your clients back from fully enjoying life. The CBD Clinic Massage Collection uses ingredients from nature to deliver strong, effective temporary pain relief with aromatic botanicals and natural emollients like CBD. Our tiered pain products let you personalize your massage to meet each client's needs. Be your client's hero by giving them the massage treatment of their dreams with CBD Clinic. Learn more at cbdclinic.co.
Welcome to the ABMP podcast. My name is Darren Buford. I'm editor-in-chief of Massage and Bodywork magazine and senior director of communications for ABMP.
And I'm Kristen Coverly, licensed massage therapist and ABMP's director of professional education.
Our guest today is Morgan Palmer. Morgan is the digital marketing coordinator for ABMP. She received her degree from St. Edward's University in digital media management and has since become a full-time marketing geek. As a millennial in the field, she grew up alongside the growth of social media and jokes that it is her second language. Hello, Morgan, and hello, Kristen.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We're so excited to talk with you about social media. And I love that you call it your second language because we could all learn to speak that a little bit more fluently. And we're excited to have you share some tips and tools to help practitioners enhance the way they use social media as an effective marketing tool for their practices, because it is such an important way to communicate with current clients and also attract new clients. So we're all on board with that. But sometimes the big question becomes like, now what? And how do I do it? Right? So listeners, we know that each of you out there has a different level of experience and comfort with creating and managing social media accounts for your business. So we've broken today's podcast into 3 segments: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. But don't worry, there will be great nuggets of information for everyone, no matter your experience level, in each of the segments. So let's start with our first question in the beginner category. Morgan, one of the questions that practitioners often have when they're first starting out on social media is about personal accounts versus business accounts. And often they already have personal accounts on social media sites, but they wonder where to start from a business perspective. Should they have 2 separate accounts on each social site?
Yes, absolutely. You definitely need a separate personal and business account. Clients don't necessarily want to see your niece's 5th grade birthday party. However, this doesn't mean that you can't include your personal brand on your business account. Your personal brand is different from your personal life. Clients get it. You represent a brand, but you're also a person, and that's actually acceptable now.
So Morgan, I know people are wondering this. What's the number one social media site that practitioners need to have their businesses on, and why?
So I wouldn't say that there is a definite number one. It depends on who your target audience is, what type of content, information, and marketing you're trying to communicate. Every platform has a different tone and purpose. So you first need to identify what your purpose and goals are, and then identify what platform would be best fit for those goals. But for beginner's sake, I would say that I would start with creating a Facebook and Instagram and even a Twitter account.
Yeah, it's so funny. I will periodically ask my clients like, hey, what social sites are you on? Because I want to know where they are so I can, communicate with them. And I remember I asked one is, when TikTok was new, I asked one of my clients who are typically my age, in our 50s, we're all about, in the same age range. I was like, hey, so what do you think about TikTok? And they just laughed at me, laughed in my face. And so, I was like, well, there's my clear answer that's a no for her, so, but I know that there are other, generations and other people who are all about it. So you're right. You have to really figure out where your target group is. So you're communicating with them where they are, right?
Right. Yes.
Kristen, is that something that you would actually have on your intake form or on a questionnaire?
Absolutely. When I was back when I had a full-time practice and was accepting new clients into my practice, it was on my intake form. And that was also a way for me to gain information about, where it's best for me to be, but also then to bring that awareness to them that, oh, I'm on these sites, so follow me. And so it just started that conversation.
That's really great. I like that.
Okay, they're ready to jump into the social media pool. They're ready to go. They've embraced the idea of it. They've got their separate account for their business. Now they get overwhelmed with the idea that they have to post every day or wonder how often should I post to stay relevant versus overwhelm the audience. So what is that sweet spot? What do you recommend there?
Right. So same for this question as well. There's no one size fits all answer to this question either, just because what works for one brand might not work for someone else. My best piece of advice would be to focus on consistency rather than frequency, right? So if you post 7 times in 1 week and then you don't post again for 3 weeks, the algorithm's going to have a hard time understanding where to place your content, and your followers won't know when to expect to hear from you. So, right, again, consistency rather than frequency. Another important takeaway is quality over quantity. You don't want to just post something just to post something. Sometimes not posting for a few days in order to work on something that might be a little bit more meaningful and powerful can get you further.
I love that. Those 2 words, consistency and quality. But you also mentioned sort of a $5 million word in that answer, algorithm.
I was going to ask that too, Kristen.
Dun, 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 dun. The mysterious algorithm. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
That's a hard one, not going to lie. The algorithm is, even as a social media guru, I still don't even completely understand this algorithm. It's constantly changing. Facebook and Instagram are forever updating their platforms, so it's hard to understand quite exactly what the algorithm is or does. But in short, basically, the algorithm just finds the top content and places it in front of you as the user to see what content is going to look good for you, because everyone is different, right? So whatever is most relevant to you is what is going to be placed in front of you on social media. And that's kind of what the algorithm does.
So this is probably why, as a business owner, that consistency in posting is very important, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay, Morgan, what is content creation versus content curation?
So content creation is creating your own content from scratch, whereas content curation is gathering existing information like blogs or social media posts written by other people or brands and sharing it with your followers.
As somebody who's posting, do you kind of get credit in that algorithm language for reaching out and curating and posting or linking out to someone other's post or sharing something, sharing another link?
So Google actually loves original content, especially if it's useful and SEO friendly. So creating your own content is almost sometimes better. It helps create brand awareness, but the con there is that it is extremely time consuming. So that's where content curation comes in and can be very handy to have. It could be as simple as retweeting someone's tweet or reposting someone's Instagram post to your story or on your profile. Saves time and it presents a wider knowledge and it builds community as well. Something important to note here is to always curate from credible sources. So if you guys are out there and you're looking for information, you could always look towards ABMP even to share something, one of our sources, but make sure it's a credible source and make sure to credit your source as well and give them credit for their work.
And Morgan, is there a balance there between original content versus curated content?
Yeah, it's definitely great to use a bit of both just to show, you're not going to have all the knowledge yourself always. So it's good to pull from other people and have a good mix of both.
Let's take a short break to hear a word from our sponsors. Anatomy Trains is happy to announce our return to the Dissection Lab in person, January 10th to the 14th, 2022, at the Laboratory of Anatomical Enlightenment in Boulder, Colorado. We are thrilled to be back in the lab with Anatomy Trains author Tom Myers and master dissector Todd Garcia. Join students from around the world and from all types of manual, movement, and fitness professions to explore the real human form, not the images you get from books. This is an exclusive invitation. Email info@anatomytrains.com if you'd like to join us in the lab. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Okay, let's talk hashtags. Hashtag get into it. So, question, should practitioners use hashtags on their professional posts? And then this follow-up question, how many? Because it seems like when you look at posts, there are either 0 or 527 hashtags on one post. So what do we do here? Help us, Morgan, help us.
Yeah, definitely. So hashtags are used for many different reasons, right? So you can use one to run a contest or to have, if you're having a special event like hashtag CE socials and to generate user generated content. So hashtags, they put all of the information that's relevant together. So it can help you find something if you're looking for something. But yes, the question about how often or how many should you use is a great question. For Instagram posts, I believe you can use up to 30 on your posts. And in your stories, you can use up to 10. And it's not considered too much to use 30, if you do it at the very end of your post, or if you do it in the comment. I have seen that people comment on their posts with the hashtags. But on the contrary, platforms like Twitter, I would suggest 2 hashtags. For LinkedIn and Facebook, I would stick to anywhere between 3 and 4.
And I love that you just said LinkedIn in this conversation because people forget that LinkedIn is a social platform, right?
Right. Yes. LinkedIn is a great social platform. It has a little bit different of a purpose. It's more for networking and having your business persona there, which is great. And it's a great way to network with other people in the field.
Okay, we're going to transition now from beginners to intermediate users. So intermediate users, you're up. We're assuming if you're at this point, you already have a professional social media page or pages, and you're looking to expand your talents. So Morgan, what is content planning?
Yes, content planning is a lifesaver. It's basically deciding what you will post and when. It's basically a third-party website that connects all of your social channels on one place. And I like it for a few reasons. First, it keeps you off your phone and your personal social accounts, which is definitely very tempting when you are doing social media to just, switch over to your personal account. But when you have it on your desktop with all of it in one place, it definitely takes away that temptation. So that is a great reason. Secondly, it saves you so much time by being organized and planning ahead and seeing which day you're going to post and scheduling out times so you don't have to go and do it that day. And lastly, it saves you big mistakes and typos. You can check your work, you can go back, you can have someone else check your work. And yeah, in the end, it just allows you to get more ambitious with your strategies. So it's such a great tool to use.
What? Someone else check your work? Kristen, that reminds me of a podcast we did earlier this year in January, which was about having somebody edit your stuff. Sorry for that little side note there. Morgan, what are the content planning sites or services that you like?
Yeah, so there are a lot out there, but I would say the most popular ones are Hootsuite, Later, and Loomly.
Morgan, let's talk about stories. So many platforms now have stories as an option. So can you tell us a little bit more about them and then the pros and cons of stories versus a traditional post?
Right, yeah. So the idea behind stories actually originated on Snapchat. You put a picture on your story and then it disappears in 24 hours, right? And now it has made its way to Instagram, Facebook, and even Twitter, known as Fleets. And I'm pretty sure Pinterest even just introduced a similar feature. So it's definitely not a thing to ignore. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I think the allure of stories is that it has that time limit, right? So it kind of gets people like, oh, you need to watch this now and you need to look at it now. So I think it just creates a sense of urgency and it's kind of just more casual, I would say, than a post. A post is more formal and a story can be a little bit more informal sometimes. So I think it's a great way to communicate and switch up different techniques.
Morgan, I think you and I may have spoken about this, about Instagram specifically. Did you tell me that you only look at the stories or you're driven first on Instagram to the stories at the top versus the posts? Because I've become one of those people too.
Yeah, it's just when you log in, it's right in front of you. You don't have to scroll, it's right there, So it's very convenient. And there's some people that only use stories or only look at stories. And then there's people that completely ignore them and only look at posts. And that's why it's important to do both because you don't know, is your audience going to see this? Maybe not. Maybe they don't look at stories, or maybe they only look at stories. So it's important to do both, definitely.
Okay, we're at the point, beginners and intermediate users, that we move on to the advanced users. We're assuming here that you're really the best of the best on social media and you're looking for that magic trick to put you over the top. Morgan, there are so many social media sites out there, and we've mentioned several of them here. What do you think about expanding beyond those 3 or 4 that we mentioned at first into things like TikTok and Clubhouse and some other newer services?
I'd say yes, totally go for it. I think it's important to explore a platform as a user first, just so you can understand the trends and the different things about it before you go ahead and start generating content for those platforms. So the sooner you get on a platform, the better you're going to know it and the better you're going to be at it in the end. So definitely just take the dive and explore them, be curious, be open-minded. I think that that's always a great headspace to be in.
And of course, we want to add beautiful graphics to our posts so that people are so attracted to it that they open it and look at it and interact with us. But we often don't know where to start. There's the I want to, but I have no idea how to gap in knowledge, right? So the great news, though, is that people don't have to create those from scratch, right? So do you recommend that people use services like Canva?
Yes, Canva is a safe haven. If you haven't heard about Canva, it's basically a free, easy, user-friendly way to generate and create your own graphics for social media. They have templates and pre-made things that you basically can just pop your information, your brand colors, and everything into to design something. You can also resize images for all the different social media channels, which is also very convenient. And they offer free courses in their design school. So if you would like to learn how to create content like a pro, you can definitely check out their design school, which is pretty awesome. For someone that may be more advanced, if you're looking for something different from Canva, you can also check out the article. I'll link it in the show notes. It's called The 8 Best Canva Alternatives for Graphic Design.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to wrap up here with 2 final questions for Morgan. We feel these are more overarching for any type of user, whether it be beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So, Morgan, is there etiquette surrounding social media?
Ooh, that's a great question. What comes to mind first is yes, obviously, there's etiquette for almost every type of social media. The first thing that pops in my mind is be respectful. Think from your audience's point of view. Put yourself in their shoes. What would they like to hear? How would they like to be communicated with? But most importantly, have fun, experiment, be curious, be authentic, be yourself. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
I love that. I love the message of be authentic and be yourself. So you're not trying to put on a sales persona. You are really radiating the fact this is me, this is my practice, and the right people will be attracted to that.
Exactly.
So unfortunately, Morgan, we know that the social media world can be sometimes, I'll use the phrase or term unkind in comments, and people can, feel some sort of emboldened power to not always be very nice in comments. So can someone delete a negative comment or post? And if so, are there any ramifications for doing that?
Yes, the answer is yes. You can definitely delete a negative post, but I would take a step back when something negative is going on and think, is this an important conversation to have? Just because something is negative doesn't mean you have to erase it. You can, open the door to a conversation that might be hard and have different views, and really just monitor the comments. If something is completely, offensive, uses curse words or anything like that, then you can go ahead and erase the comment, or if you feel necessary, erasing the post altogether. But I would say just take a step back and think about it, because sometimes negative posts, they really aren't negative. They are just hard. And, generating a hard conversation is not necessarily a bad thing.
Morgan, how do you know when to leave it there in a conversation for it to keep going versus chiming in and actually adding or answering something, especially if somebody is misguided in their post?
Right. You can definitely chime in and sort of guide the conversation into a better light, right? So if something's going south pretty quickly, you can kind of hop in there and say, look, these were not my intentions, or this is what I was thinking when I wrote this. Or even you can message people privately so it's not public, right? So if someone comments something negative, sometimes maybe I'll just erase it and then I'll message them privately and we'll have a conversation of, why did you think that? I want to know more. That was really interesting and let's talk about it. And maybe we can come to a conclusion of seeing eye to eye.
Excellent. Well, we don't want to end on a down note there. More. We just wanted to acknowledge a little bit of the reality out there. Morgan, do you have any kind of final thoughts for listeners regarding social media, wherever they're at?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always say, right, experiment. You're never going to find what works. If you don't try something new, you might find something that really resonates with people or you really enjoy doing. Take the pressure off. It's not going to be the end of the world if something bad happens. So just have fun with it. That's my main piece of advice.
I want to thank our guest today, Morgan Palmer. To find out more about ABMP's social media presences, follow us online on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Listeners, when I'm not working on the ABMP podcast with Kristen, I work with the communications team at ABMP to produce Massage and Bodywork magazine. Our goal is to bring you insightful technique articles and valuable feature stories about the issues that are important to professional massage therapists and bodyworkers. A print subscription to the magazine is included with every ABMP membership, and the online edition of the magazine is free to the profession at massageandbodyworkdigital.com. Thanks, Morgan, and thanks, Kristen.
Morgan, thank you so much, not only for all the tips, tools, and tricks you shared with us in the podcast today, but for everything that you do on a daily basis to help ABMP connect with the profession and individual practitioners. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Members are loving ABMP 5-Minute Muscles and ABMP Pocket Pathology, 2 quick reference web apps included with ABMP membership. ABMP 5-Minute Muscles delivers muscle-specific palpation and technique videos, plus origins, insertions, and actions for the 83 muscles most commonly addressed by bodyworkers. ABMP Pocket Pathology, created in conjunction with Ruth Werner, puts key information for nearly 200 common pathologies at your fingertips and provides the knowledge you need to help you make informed treatment decisions. Start learning today. ABMP members log in at abmp.com and look for the links in the featured benefits section of your member homepage. Not a member? Learn about these exciting member benefits at abmp.com/more.